and then like a moment from like Quantum, and then like some like hints at the Skyfall intro and stuff. You probably missed all that, yeah.
Yeah, I heard you murmuring at certain points, like
yeah. And then the start with the colored dots and stuff, straight out of Dr. No, which is like the first Bond movie.
You've been watching. You watched how many Bond movies do you watch?
I've only seen the Daniel Craig ones.
Oh, okay.
But I know pieces of information about different eras of Bond and stuff, and I've watched every title sequence.
Oh, okay. So
like
they are
YouTube
nice
compilations and stuff, and so forth. But yeah, no, there was a lot of like imagery from other Craig Bond title sequences, which was cool to see.
Yeah, I watched Casino Royale recently, but I didn't notice any of the nods in that one.
There was a moment where, because they were using time a lot in this one, like clocks and stuff.
No time to die.
There's a moment where it was a silhouetted Bond and female or woman, I guess the woman from this movie or whatever, and they were standing on top of clock hands, but the clock hands were shaped like Casino Royale playing cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all the culmination of those movies to this one.
Yeah.
It was overall a good movie. We kind of decided.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's just
it has some problems.
I don't even think it has that many problems. It's pretty plot heavy. Villain, I wasn't impressed by at all.
Probably the weakest part of the movie for me was the villain.
But I think it had cool action. It's stepped away from what I found really cool about Casino Royale, pretty dramatically. But that's the trend that the series has been going since Casino Royale, which I guess makes sense because that's like it's more of like an origin movie of him becoming, James Bond. So it makes sense as the movies progress, they became more and more Bond-like in the more traditional sense. But I think it overall impressed in a lot of different ways. It was certainly better than the
Spectre.
Spectre's better than Quantum. So it's I think it tips Craig's Bond over from being like a 50-50 Bond to straight up like, okay, he's a really good Bond.
Yeah, you'll go down from now on as being one of the better Bonds, I would say.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've seen multiple polls be taken on things like Twitter and YouTube of like, hey, what's your favorite Bond actor? And even then, people were saying Daniel Craig. Just close behind with Sean Connery, but overall, I also see a lot of an opinion towards Daniel Craig's Bond.
Fan base, to my understanding, respects Daniel Craig's Bond a lot. There are. Bond is kind of just like whatever generation you live in, with that. So there's a lot of people who are like, Connery's the best, and there's a lot of people who are like, I love Roger Moore. Like, there's really only two wrong answers, being, what's his name? Timothy Day, who did 2 movies, which people like, but he did 2 movies. Yeah. So people are like, all right, he's just there for a little bit. And then, what's his name? George Lazenby, something like that.
He did 1 movie, right?
He did 1 movie. He was the guy who replaced, Connery. Just did 1 movie and then got nicked.
Not stay.
To be fair, to my understanding, he's not much of an actor. He was a model or something that they put in the role because he was good looking or something, and then they just went straight into Roger Moore, and then Roger Moore did like 7 movies. So,
I always forget what Roger Moore looks like because I've never seen I've seen multiple Sean Connery Bond movies.
Yeah.
And most of the Daniel Craig ones.
To my understanding, Roger Moore's tone, or his era, his tone of movies are very different. A lot more playful, a lot more tongue-in-cheek.
Oh, I did.
In some cases, even comedic.
Was he in Octopussy?
Yeah,
I saw that.
That one's his movie. Yeah.
Okay, well, now I'm putting the name to the face.
Speaking of Octopussy, but I don't know how that works at all. Anyways, Connor, let's drop some sense on him. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the 2 Penny Gamescast episode 64. Good old classic number. Classic Nintendo 64, if individuals remember that. I'm screwing up my time code.
Very nice. 5 more to go until the big day. I'm still counting down.
Until the big day, we're counting down, where we will do nothing. If you didn't know, this show comes to you every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygamescast, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. We're out there. Drop us a like, follow, rate us. Give us a nice little 5 stars, if you will. Share it with a friend. That's always fun and exciting. And it really does help out. We really do appreciate it. And if you didn't know, me and Connor, this show is basically me and my good friend Connor. Say hello to the people, Connor.
Howdy.
Did I introduce myself?
What's going on, players?
I'm
My
like trying
name's
to.
Tavin.
I'm trying to like digest No Time to Die. Still, it's a long ass movie, and I'm trying to like just like put everything together in my mind and stuff. Anyways, I'm Tavin Bothel, your host, with my good friend and co-host Connor Elliott here. He already said hello. He doesn't get to say it twice.
I'll say hi. Yeah. You introduced me. I got to do it.
Anyways, every week we come to you with two topics concerning the video game industry. We bring two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. This week, Connor, my first penny of the day, our first topic of the day. Let's talk about these Twitch hacks. All right?
I was making the rounds on Twitter
making lots of rounds around the ecosphere here. So I'm pulling a Kotaku article by John Walker Report. Twitch is hacked and its source code is in the wild. According to a report by VGC, an anonymous hacker posted a 125 gigabyte torrent link containing, well, all of Twitch, including its source code and commit history, going back to the start. The leak also contains streamers' income since 2019 and information that suggests Amazon-owned streaming platforms Steam rival Vapor may really exist. And then as an update from October 6th, Twitch confirmed the hack on Twitter, but wrote that it still doesn't know the extent of the breach. Quote, "We can confirm a breach has taken place. Our teams are working with urgency to understand the extent of this. We will update the community as soon as additional information is available. Thank you for bearing with us." The download was posted to 4chan today, describing by its unidentified source as part 1 of an extremely poggers leak, stating that it contains the following. The entirety of Twitch.tv with commit history going back to its early beginnings. Mobile, desktop, and video game console Twitch clients. Various proprietary SDKs and internal AWS services used by Twitch. Every other property that Twitch owns, including IGDB and CurseForge. And an unreleased Steam competitor from Amazon Game Studios. Twitch SOC internal red teaming tools. And then in brackets, LOL. And the poster notes creator payouts from 2019 until now. Find out how much your favorite streamer is really making. Calling Twitch a disgusting, toxic cesspool as you post to 4chan. The given motivation for the leak is to foster more disruption and competition in the online video streaming space. They add, "We have completely pwned them." They also include the hashtag #DoBetterTwitch hashtag. Kotaku has verified that this is a working torrent, and VGC claims anonymous sources within Twitch have confirmed the data as legitimate. We've obviously contacted Twitch for further comment, but we haven't heard back at time of publication. So this is an issue. This is a big issue. The article does go on to explain the Twitch do better and so forth, and how dangerous it is to have so much source code out there in the wild, but also the whole like releasing streamers' incomes and stuff off of Twitch and so forth. Like, that's just kind of disgusting.
I do have to say though, apparently, like this comes from a Moist Critical, I think his name is on Twitch, big Twitch streamer, who did say that that's not. He highlighted that that's not really a big issue because you can easily find out how much income you make by doing simple mathematics. I can't remember the exact equation. So
it's a simple subs multiplied by however much a sub costs. There you go. That's what we're getting.
Okay.
Now, things like tips and bits and donations and so forth. That leads to a little bit of different. But as far as the Twitch side of things, you can pretty much track what these streamers have always made from the beginning. It's just a matter of like putting in some legwork for it. But at the same time, it's just like, come on, guys! Like, why are we actively being destructive? Like, we're just actively putting information out there to hurt people, and it's even in their little quote of, what is it? Foster more disruption and competition, quote unquote competition in the online video streaming space. We have completely pwned them. Like, y'all are gross, man. That's like you're actively just trying to make the internet a worse place, and it's already not a great place to be on. It's just a lot of do better for this, man.
They included the do better Twitch hashtag, so even they want things to be better.
Yeah, but you're going about it the wrong fucking way.
Yeah,
gross ass losers.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, it seems like this isn't that big of a deal. Many of the streamers also don't seem to care, even ones who had their own earnings exposed.
Yeah.
It's kind of just, sure, it's a shitty thing to do, but it's not like it's adding IP addresses or anything like that.
Sure, yeah, no,
this could have been worse.
That doxing and so forth, but it could severely hurt Twitch, and it could open the door for more damaging stuff to happen, which is just super unnecessary. And it just it reeks of just basement dweller, like, incel loser shit.
This is the first time in a long while I've heard the term pwned be used. It's been a long time. A very long time.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, someone is clearly just, like, sitting on their computer way too much. I thought it was interesting, the creator Hassan, you know this guy? Yeah, he's a political streamer or a political commentator streamer, but also does game shit, I think.
Yeah, he does game stuff, but he's primarily
all about politics and so forth. His numbers and his name was trending more than the actual hack itself, to which he commented, he was like, come on, what the fuck? Why is this circling around me? It's just, for whatever reason, that information caught fire a lot more than everything else on Twitter, at least.
The reason being is because I'm not a fan of Hasanabi. His personality I find very annoying, but the reason why people were so obsessed with him is because he advocates for things like increased taxes for wealthy people. He's a big socialist guy on Twitch. So people were saying he's a hypocrite because he makes a lot of money, as if that somehow all of a sudden
that doesn't mean
nullifies.
Anything.
Yeah, that's I've seen that go around even before, like months before this Twitch stuff has gone on, and it's a pretty ridiculous thing to focus on because they're earning money. Who really cares? Like,
yeah,
we knew it's easy to find out how much they're making. We know they're making a lot because a lot of people like Twitch. A lot of people like donating to their favorite streamers. It's just what happens. So just acting like this is somehow kind of a pwn, like you're doing some kind of good work,
we got them back.
Not really true.
It's like, oh, okay. Honestly, a lot of people are like, oh, they actually... I would assume a lot of these losers on the internet who are like, oh, it's a streamer, they're making millions of dollars. You're probably like, oh, they're maybe barely making more than I'm making, or, oh, they're actually making less than me.
Yeah, because some of these Twitch streamers who got their earnings linked weren't even making, like, ridiculous amounts of money. Some people were making good money, but $8,000 a month, things like that. So
some of them are making enough just to get by.
Yeah.
So, again, it's just kind of gross. Anyways, moving on from there. Oh, I forgot to mention at the top of the show. Man, my intro was fucking scummy today. You can find us on Twitch, twitch.tv/2pennygames, in which we play video games live. This last week, we played on Tuesday, 1 p.m. Central Time. We do our show called Hype, H-Y-E-P, Have You Ever Played, in which me and my good buddy Phil show each other a video game the other one has never played before. We've been doing Jack 2 as a series, but we had to put that on pause because it's October. We're doing spooky season. So, we started this last week off with some Until Dawn. We did a full playthrough of Until Dawn. It was a really good time. The archive is still up if you're listening to this episode live, but I'm also gonna throw it up on YouTube really quick, with minimal editing and probably like 2 or 3 chunks. So you can go check that out right now. And then, from there, we also, Connor, played a little bit of that Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl live later that Twitch Tuesday night, and we'll be talking about that a little more later down there in the what we've been playing segment,
because that is what we have been playing.
We played once. We did an evening of some All-Star Brawl. It was a fairly good time. You can also watch that stream live. That's already on YouTube. You can go watch that right now.
Already.
YouTube.com/2pennygamescast. But moving on, Connor, your first penny of the day. Gearbox president has stepped down. Randy Pitchford stepped down from the role of president, but he's still Gearbox Entertainment CEO. So, pulling an IGN article by Matt Kim, Gearbox's Randy Pitchford steps down as Gearbox Software president, remains Gearbox Entertainment CEO. Gearbox Software has announced that former Chief Technology Officer Steve Jones will now serve as the new president of Gearbox Software following a leadership shuffle. Gearbox Entertainment co-founder Randy Pitchford will still serve as CEO and president of the Gearbox parent company and shift his focus towards film and TV, and the president of the newly formed Gearbox studio. Was that confusing? Well, buckle up. Basically, the video game development wing of Gearbox, responsible for games like Borderlands, will now be run by Jones. Meanwhile, Gearbox's parent company, Gearbox Entertainment, which was acquired by the Embracer Group earlier this year, will still be overseen by Pitchford. Furthermore, Pitchford will serve as president of a new division called Gearbox Studios, which will oversee the company's film and TV projects starting with the upcoming Borderlands live-action movie. In a tweet, Pitchford further explained that he will be responsible for, quote, high-level creative and business strategy while also serving as a hybrid chief creative officer where necessary, meaning Pitchford will still offer guidance on various creative projects at Gearbox. Jones, meanwhile, will lead all production and development activities at Gearbox's game studio and oversee the multiple AAA games currently in development. Gearbox was founded in 1999, and over the years, the studio has worked on projects like Half-Life, Brothers in Arms, Duke Nukem, Aliens, and Borderlands under Pitchford. An official Borderlands movie starring Cate Blanchett, and then also adding I think it's Jack Black and Kevin Hart, The Rock probably, was announced in 2020, expanding the company's footprint to film.
I remember when that dropped and they had all those big name actors. I think Kevin Hart, Roland. I think I
something
can't
like that.
remember all them, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No.
The news here is Pitchford, quote unquote, stepping down as president. Now, I mean, again, I think this is more of a non-story. That this is more shuffling. This is equivalent to what we see over at Ubisoft, where they're just shuffling management around. Pitchford, if you've been paying any level of attention, is problematic at best.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted to do this, step down from this position so he can have more time to go to medieval times, I'm assuming. The last thing was the management issue, wasn't it? It was revolving around Borderlands 3, where they said that they would be giving bonuses to their employees in exchange for longer hours when the game sold well. It did better than it expected to, and they didn't get that bonus. They pretty much got screwed over, and it was clearly, management effectively lying to their employees. And I also remember, I think, I might be wrong about this part, some executives were getting money as well, to my knowledge, and bonuses after the release of Borderlands 3, while those aforementioned employees were getting shafted.
Yeah. It's real dirty over there. And then if you follow Pitchford, he's very he's scummy. He's pretty anti-consumer and pro business in all of the worst ways that you can imagine.
Mm-hmm. And he's clearly going to have still retain a lot of power in Gearbox.
And then I don't see this new guy Steve Jones being too different, if any different at all. So
no,
pretty gross, pretty not disappointing, but not encouraging.
No, there's nothing happy about this.
This is pretty business as usual, what to be expected and so forth. Mm-hmm. But maybe we're wrong. Maybe we can see a brighter future for Gearbox and so forth, especially with Embracer Group acquiring them in the last year?
Yeah, I think it was
earlier this year. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. But I would not expect anything to really come up from this at all.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Speaking of things coming out and coming to light here, Connor. What is this?
I think this is.
I'm assigning it to you. This is your second penny.
That's fine by me.
California steps in to prevent Activision Blizzard destroying sexual harassment evidence. Again, Kotaku, but by Renata Price. Yesterday, the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing filed a motion to intervene in a potential settlement between the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and Activision Blizzard. The motion argues that the DFEH's own trial against Activision Blizzard will be irreparably damaged by the conditions of said settlement. The settlement includes a clause which requests that Activision Blizzard be able to remove any allegations of sexual harassment from the personnel files of settlement claimants, effectively destroying evidence that is essential to the DFEH's own trial. The DFEH met with both Activision Blizzard and the EEOC on the 5th of October to inform both parties of its plan to intervene. Normally, it would have to wait 7 days before filing its intervention. Instead, due to the grave harm the DFEH sees in a potential settlement, it has filed the motion ex parte, which allows it to be filed instantly if the courts find it reasonable. The DFEH justifies that the ex parte request by citing the settlement clause that would allow Activision Blizzard to scrub the sexual harassment allegations. This would not be the first time Activision Blizzard has supposedly done so either. 2 months ago, the DFEH accused Activision Blizzard of shredding evidence that could reflect on the company poorly during its case. This coupled with the Activision Blizzard's recent desire to hire a union-busting firm, does not reflect well on the company's previous claims to Kotaku that it is being totally cooperative with the DFEH's investigation. Kotaku reached out to the DFEH and Activision Blizzard for comment and received the following from Activision Blizzard. Quote, "We are committed to making Activision Blizzard the most welcoming, inclusive, and safe workplace possible. Our agreement with the EEOC reflects our commitment to significant improvements and transparency, as well as making immediate compensation available to eligible employees who choose to participate. Activision Blizzard is ensuring a workplace free from discrimination, harassment, or unequal treatment of any kind."
I threw up on my mouth a little bit from there.
The order to alter records is included as part of the settlement and reads as follows. Quote, "Within 30 days of the date that the EEOC notifies Activision Blizzard of the names of the distribution lists, Activision agrees to A. remove from the personnel files of each eligible claimant and any references to the allegations related to sexual harassment, pregnancy discrimination, and or related retaliation, except to the extent that defendants must keep records of the allegations or any eligible claimants' involvement in this charge in order to effectuate this decree, in which such records must be maintained separately from eligible claimants' personnel files." The DFEH also takes umbrage with a clause in the settlement which allows Activision Blizzard to reinvest non-distributed settlement funds back into its own programs. Quote, "If any of the settlement funds remain undistributed after exhausting the efforts to locate the eligible claimants as set forth above, the excess funds will be distributed between Cypress Fund for distribution to charitable organizations whose mission involves advancing women in the video game and technology industries or promoting awareness around sexual harassment and gender equality issues, and to the Diversity and Inclusion Fund to be used by defendants exclusively for diversity, inclusion, and equity efforts beyond the scope and terms of this decree. The allocation between Cypress Fund and Diversity and Inclusion Fund will be decided by defendants by subject to approval by the EEOC. While the EEOC has final say over these excess funds, where these excess funds will be allocated, that any of it could return to Activision Blizzard has the DFEH uncomfortable per its motion. In addition to qualms regarding the status of its own case, the DFEH cites multiple procedural failures in the settlement. Quote, "In addition to the EEOC's failure to comply with the notice requirements to the court about the pending DFEH action, EEOC and defendants also failed to provide complete information in the proposed consent decree now lodged with the court. The proposed decree, for example, lacks a proposed notice, claim form, and release. It also provides no notice of DFEH's pending action, but seeks court approval of a procedure whereby EEOC and defendants arrange for outside counsel to assist with obtaining releases of state claims to which EEOC is not a party and EEOC lacks standing to prosecute under law." And then one more little blip, stay with us, folks. The EEOC and Activision Blizzard were required to inform the courts of existing trial between DFEH and Activision Blizzard and failed to do so. Normally, the EEOC would have to wait for the pending action to finish before starting their own legal action. This is especially problematic given that both trials center on similar evidence and claims. Quote, "No information about defendants' potential liability, the maximum damages recoverable in successful litigation, or the allocation and distribution of monetary relief is included in the proposed decree. Unclaimed settlement funds also revert back to defendants, and the decree proposes destruction or tampering of evidence necessary to the DFEH's case. Finally, EEOC and defendants did not request a fairness hearing nor explain why the settlement is fair, adequate, or reasonable." So, this is seemingly just more just gross behavior from Activision Blizzard that we've been covering all year.
They're trying to cover up their tracks in whatever ways they can.
They are in ways to where they can. They know they've got their hands stuck in the cookie jar. It's just how many cookies were they able to run away with before they got caught? Is what they're doing here. And then how many crumbs can they keep to themselves before having to put them back in the jar, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So more just money scumming, more just abuse of its workers and restrictions on true justice here. So it's just gross to see this just continuing. Get worse? Question mark. But
we have to wait and see how the courts respond to this. Whether they actually, because to be honest, if they allow them to strike those any evidence of them doing these sexual harassment claims, it can completely screw up the entire story that we've covered up until now. Because if they don't have any evidence to actually get them on anything, then no one will face any consequences.
Right.
And Blizzard can just go on doing as normal.
I mean, at the same time, it's that, but it's like. How do you have this many eyes on you? Everything you're doing is so visible and step by step recorded. Like I find it tough to see it going any other way except in the correct quote unquote direction.
The EEOC also seems to just be failing to make sure that they're going to get caught for the bad things they've done. They just seem to kind of ignore the ramifications it can have with the case by the DFEH, which, for some reason, you would think they'd be on the same page on this, and they'd not want to reach this kind of settlement if it would mean screwing over that other investigation, but they seem to not have a care in the world.
Some wires are crossed, some communication is flawed, something's going on here. So,
if Activision Blizzard wanted to actually do something about all of these claims and make it a more inclusive workplace, as
and then their regurgitated quote from what was it, September?
Back when it happened?
No, it was July or some shit. This is almost the exact same quote that they gave us, months ago, and it reads just as
some PR guy did the generic thing that he has to do as a PR guy.
It reads just as much of a mouthpiece action as it did back then, and it's clear. It's clear, I think, to everybody that Activision Blizzard has no intention of actually correcting its ways here.
No, not at all. That'd take effort and work and accountability, which they have none of that.
And consequences.
Yes.
Most importantly. Connor, let's move on to our last topic of the day. Let's have a little bit more fun here. All right?
Yeah!
It's been a bit of a downer of a show. Let's jump into something a little more entertaining that we can kind of shoot the shit with. So, there's been a new trailer for the new live-action movie. We don't talk about movies too much on this channel, except this one is a Resident Evil movie.
Another Resident Evil movie.
Welcome to Raccoon City. Not at all tied to the Resident Evil movies of the past. So anyways, let me throw up this trailer right here just to wet your palate here, Connor.
Yeah, remind me.
Connor, you watched this trailer, yeah?
I did. You watched the trailer as well, I'm assuming.
I did. I watched the main one. I know you sent a second one in the chat that I guess was getting circulated as well. That
it had a better tone to it. That's pretty much. It was a better trailer, but it wasn't as. It didn't look as marketable as a trailer because this trailer, the one that got most of the attention, just screams. Like, come watch this movie. We're going to have explosions. We're going to have a cool song that you recognize.
It's got zombies in it, bro.
It's got zombies in it. We see one zombie.
You guys like zombies, right? They do the iconic Resident Evil 1 zombie turning its head thing.
But they could have saved that for the movie itself. It seems like that's kind of something they didn't need to show in the trailer.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, is there anything beyond that they have going for themselves?
Let me start with the positive here.
Okay.
This is what the Resident Evil movie that fans have been asking for forever. This is what they've wanted. Like it's the locations, it's the characters, it's the moments, it's the weapons, like all of it's the imagery, all of it's there. The Spencer Mansion, the RPD, the truck at the beginning of Resident Evil 2, like we're obviously taking pieces from at least the first 3 games and kind of like combining it all and running it all into make one central plot. The problem is that you can't take those games and just turn them into a movie.
And lump them together as well in the same movie, because it's just... they go from the RPD to the mansion at some point. Or maybe vice versa.
I think it's going to be dual plots. I think we're going to be following... it's going to be the classic, like, we're following Chris's story, and then we're cutting over to Claire and Leon. So we're going to be cutting between Chris and Jill, and then cutting back to Claire and Leon, and then these things are going to be itched... or kind of not stitched together. Like, I don't think these characters are going to interact, but I think the plot line of, like, the Umbrella conspiracy and all of that is going to, like, we're going to be taking pieces of information together and being able to put it together. Assuming, of course, the writers were smart enough to do that, which I doubt it. Now, to kind of just pick this apart, doesn't look good.
No. The general reaction from people I saw was like, man, this does not look good. Disappointing.
It does not look good.
Yeah.
Now, again, this is what fans have been asking for.
It is, but that's honestly the easiest part. Just do the basic things like zombies, RPD, Spencer Mansion. Bringing that all together and making it look interesting is the hard part. And this looks like it could have been any other January release movie that comes out every single year.
This is we are going to be in theaters for 2 to 3 weeks, and then it's going to be in DVDs by the end of the month.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Oh man, the special effects look so bad. The costuming looks like something I could do with a couple of friends. Like, it doesn't look good. It doesn't, like, it looks cheap, and that's probably not the biggest issue because, like, if your character and story are solid, we're gonna forgive special effects.
Oh yeah, but they seem like they're going all in for the special. Like, I've seen 2 explosions in this trailer. Why are there so many explosions?
Fair, there are explosions in Resident Evil games.
There are explosions, but it seems like you don't have the costumes don't look the best.
Yeah.
The camera work seems very generic.
Yeah.
And then you're just topping on those other things in your trailer.
And then if you look at, like, the zombie hordes, it's clear not everyone is on the same page as to how the zombies are supposed to behave.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very clearly like we had $3 million to do all of this or some shit. Like, we were really scraping the bottom of the barrel. On top of that, I'm sure the pandemic made this movie a big ass pain to shoot.
Oh, you know.
But I mean, it's all there. That's all the iconography.
Look, there it is.
There's the Spencer Mansion. There's the RPD. Claire's wearing the jacket. Leon's wearing oh my god, there's a helicopter crash. You know, we're doing the evil zombie face turn. It's a pretty accurate face turn too.
It recreated it faithfully.
Yeah. So, this is clearly like somebody is a fan of these games.
They played the original game.
Yeah, but it's also clearly like you guys just don't know what it takes to adapt video games into movies.
We haven't seen many good adaptations of video game movies, to be honest.
I haven't seen really any at all.
And this is not really gonna it doesn't look like it's going to be the one to break out and be the good one.
Can I just say, we're not gonna, Resident Evil isn't the one to break it out.
Yeah.
It's just not the franchise.
But it's zombies. It's zombies and some mutants.
It's not gonna be the one to do it. Like, I'm looking forward more to the Uncharted movie. Just because, like, if you just do a big action set piece movie with a bunch of money behind it, and a plot that is like that we can follow. All right, that's basically Uncharted, right? Like some charismatic characters, a couple of one-liners, some quips, and then some big action set pieces. That's Uncharted, right?
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of got to disagree with you because I feel like a lot of the enjoyment of those things based off Uncharted comes with playing it. So watching a movie after we see all these different action movies, I feel like I'm gonna watch it and be kind of like, oh, there's a action sequence that's gonna look like any other action sequence I can get from other movies. I'm more excited for The Last of Us. I know it's not a movie, but it's a TV show.
Oh, I think The Last of Us is going to be legitimately great.
I think it has potential to be great.
I think it's going to be really solid. And I think the format is correct here. And as far as this, man, like, come on, guys. Like, Resident Evil is just not the series to do this with. But, Connor, is that going to stop us from seeing it in theaters?
Of course not.
Of course not. We're going to see this in theaters.
We, back in the day, watched Resident Evil 1, the Wes Anderson ones, 2... Extinction.
Well, we've seen them all.
We've seen them all.
We've seen them all several times.
Yeah, more.
Too many times than we should
have.
Yeah.
So we're locked in now. I'm sorry.
It's just the fandom of Resident Evil. Like, this has nothing to do with those movies, clearly, and it's clearly, like, more... and this is going to be a more faithful adaptation from the looks of it, but it's just like, dear God.
We played 6. Played Resident Evil 6.
Oh, yeah.
We can get through this.
Yeah. I've played every mainline numbered Resident Evil game. In either remake form or of some sort, I never finished the remake for the first game though, because it's still tank controls can't do it.
Neither did I.
2 all the way up to 8, I've played every numbered title. And there's ups and downs. There's ups and downs, baby. But yeah, you know what?
We'll see if this is an up or down.
We'll see. I think it's just like atmosphere and universe, like that. That's what's cool about Resident Evil is like when you say the police department, it means something because it invokes a certain feeling. And I just don't think we're going to get that here. I think we're going to get a lot of bad jump scares. I think we're going to get a lot of bad editing and special effects, and acting is probably going to be pretty trash too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't have any hopes for this. This is not going to be a good time. But it will be a fun time.
I hope. There's the small chance it could just be like draining.
Hopefully. I'm hoping to laugh.
I'm hoping to laugh. I'm hoping to have fun. If it does that, at least we'll be able to talk about it later and shit on it.
Oh, man, it does not look good.
No.
Anyways, Connor, that's going to be it for the news this week.
The important news.
The important news. Let's go ahead and dive into the what we've been playing segment. Now, we teased it before.
Might as well get it out of the way.
You and I played something together, but I've also been playing something new as well, which I'll get into because I haven't been playing that much. I've been a busy boy. I can't get this. As soon as the mics come on, man, I got to burp all the time. Anyways, so to get started, we started off playing some Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl this last Tuesday at twitch.tv/2pennygames. You can also see that stream over at youtube.com/2pennygamescast. And for those who don't know, All-Star Brawl, Nickelodeon is a Nickelodeon-based Smash Brothers clone. Mm-hmm. In every sense of the word, like even more so than the PlayStation one that came out years ago. It's the classic like damage percentage numbers go up, characters go flying off screen, you knock off some stock options and stuff, all of that. There's your light attacks, your special attacks. They do have, I think they're called heavy attacks or something in this version.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Instead of like a shield bubble or a dodge, it's just a hard block. Mm-hmm. Which just reduces damage instead of fully blocking the damage.
You don't take kickback, so you're planted in place. Thankfully, well,
no, you can move. You move. You can like bump them off the edge. Yeah, it's just slight pushback.
Ah, okay, I didn't know that.
And Connor, overall, what were your opinions of Nickelodeon All-Stars?
I'd have to get more hands on it because I've seen some other clips online, mm-hmm. and there was stuff that other people are doing that we weren't doing.
No.
Yeah, because, I mean, we were just trying to get a feel for the characters, play all of them, see which ones moves we liked.
We were just having a fun little game night.
Yeah. But to that end, wave dashing is apparently the big movement mechanic in this game, which we didn't do.
Yeah.
Frankly, I don't really care because I'm not going to play this game seriously on any level.
No.
I take Smash Brothers more seriously than this game.
Absolutely.
This is one of those games that every now and then, when there's a lot of friends together, I'll pick it up and play it because we found some of our own characters.
Yeah.
Some of them were not my cup of tea. I know you found some that were not your cup of tea. Same thing with Phil, who's playing with us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in that way, it's also very similar to Smash Brothers. You have your character, and you're going to play him. I have noticed there were some moments when you just get hit in a certain way, and you're just trapped. So I remember that I was playing as Cat Dog, I think, at one time, and you were in between a car and a house. And I kept pressing A, and you were stuck there for a very long while.
Just juggling me with this one move. Yeah, again.
And it's just no effort at all.
Yeah, and overall, I'll say, overall, I had fun.
Yeah,
I had a fun time with Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl for what we were doing. Am I trying to like main a character? Am I trying to like get serious about it? Hell no. Does it feel like a cheap Smash ripoff? Yes, because that's exactly what it is and exactly what they were going for. Now, they went the extra mile and tried to develop actual mechanics and fighting techniques in it, which is appreciated. But it's clear like not all characters were created equal.
No.
You know, here. Danny Phantom, I thought, specifically, really drew the short end of the stick.
I know, he didn't do much when I played him.
Yeah, I did not enjoy that at all.
Then you have someone like Toph, who has big...
Yeah, Toph, big waves of damage and does a lot. Like, yeah, Toph is nasty. Korra's nasty.
Ren and Stimpy is nasty, because they have this big whack that's hard to see comes out really quickly.
So, you know, overall, I thought this game was fun. This is hey, the boys are all here, they're all over, fuck it. Let's throw this on for an hour, like, as like a fun little joke, and we'll have our fun. And then let's go play Smash, you know?
There's one thing that was, including playing with friends, there was a big issue we came across. Now, I don't know if there's a solution to it, and we just didn't find it out, because that's not really what we were obsessed with doing, but you can change your controls whenever you go into a match when you're selecting your character.
Yeah.
And there's a 1-player, 2-player, 3-player, the usual stuff.
Right.
But we noticed that when the game that we played would end, and we'd go back to the character select screen, whoever would move their analog stick first would become the first player and keep the controls of that original first player.
Oh, that's what was happening?
Yeah, because remember there was a point where we were like, okay, I was first player, I had my controls set, so when we went back to the character screen, you and Phil don't do anything. Let me move my analog. Okay, I'm
yeah. That was happening. I didn't realize the controls were shifting around that much.
That's what we.
To me, it was pretty much the same the entire time.
Because I think you kept it the same generic.
Yeah,
controls.
I just let it be the default because the default is pretty much Smash. Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I just had some certain things that I liked being in certain places, and I know Phil did as well. So that kind of became an issue if you want to have a little bit of customization with your controls, because it just won't stick.
Yeah.
From my experience, like once again, we did not test that out if there was some kind of workaround.
Yeah, and we weren't like just paying close enough attention to really finesse what was happening there.
No,
and how much was this game? This game was $50.
It's $50. It was on sale at the time for $44 with tax.
It was launch day or whatever.
Yeah, so probably not like that anymore. A bit much for the kind of game we were getting.
I think so as well. I don't know if there's enough content here. Granted, we only played the one like classic stock with a timer mode. We didn't like play around with any of the other modes or anything which are there. But I can't see there being enough content here to support a $50 price tag. If this was $30-$40, 30 leaning more towards 30, I think that would be a great deal. But yeah, overall it's just like, there was less we were going back and forth over which one had more characters, this or Super Smash Brothers Melee from 2002 or 4 or whatever.
And that had more.
And Melee had more from back in the day, which is, unfortunate. You should have a little more than, I think it was 21 characters we counted at or something like that. So, not like a terrible selection, and like there's enough in there and enough representation in there for like anybody who would watch Nickelodeon can be like, oh, I recognize this character, and go and select them and stuff. But there definitely needed to be more. And
even when we do get more, because I feel like we're going to, unless they just abandon this game, it's a one and done thing. If you have to pay for them, that just jacks the price up more on an already expensive game.
Yeah.
Which
I think this game is getting enough attention to find some kind of support, maybe even a sequel. Maybe. I mean, but we're dealing with Nickelodeon, so licenses of TV shows and stuff, I don't know how all that works. I do think the choice to have no voice lines is a mistake.
Yeah, it's just whacking.
Yeah.
Bleep, bleep, like weird cartoon noises.
Yeah, we needed classic lines. We needed sound effects. We needed screams and yells and stuff. Like, I've seen fan edits of them, like, throwing in edits, like, voice lines from the shows, like whenever SpongeBob's screaming and they've got like 4 or 5 different screams and they cut in over each other and stuff, and that is another level of entertainment like to it as is, that like brings in that nostalgia factor and brings in that that sort of like feeling that we are playing a cartoon.
I know there's this fighting game that came out relatively recently that you're playing like sketch drawings. Someone's like doodling in their book figures, and then you fight them like a fighting game. Mm-hmm. Those characters had voice lines, and these ones didn't, which strikes me as very.
You're dealing
strange.
with actors. You're dealing with licenses from old TV and stuff, and I could see, and then like on top of the fact that I'm sure this was already a small team developing it, and they were trying their hardest just to make it to the level of quality that it is, So I imagine just like one, like something is like that. It's just like, fuck, man, we just don't have time. We just don't have time to code all of that in.
Which then goes on to kind of justify why the price is a bit too high. If that's the kind of level that we were getting from this kind of stuff,
getting a
$50.
cut. Nickelodeon's getting a cut. Mm-hmm. Platform holders are getting a cut. On top of whatever this dev team is getting a cut. So, I can imagine, it goes, all right, well, it has to be this for anybody to make any kind of money, Stages I thought were just across the board too small.
Yeah, there were 2 big ones, I think.
Yeah, there was a few big ones, which were appropriately sized, I thought, but like, they need more geography, more creative geography, more unique geography. A lot of this felt like, it felt like Omega stages. A lot of them felt like Omega stages from Smash. With like a couple of like extra pieces of geometry that you can just be bounced off of, or like an extra platform or 2 that you can jump onto. We needed like we needed like a Hyrule Temple type level. We needed the Hyrule Bridge or some of the Mario like Peach's Castle type level type stuff. Like we needed some like really unique map designs that would be cool to play through and play around with, and it's just not here. A lot of them felt the same. With the exception, there was like an auto-scroller level that like the platforms sunk if anybody was standing on them for too long and stuff. That was interesting. And I enjoyed that it was there, but it was definitely like okay, let's get back to a normal stage type feeling. There was a couple of other gimmick stages which were, their presence was always appreciated, but we needed something to be like, oh, this is familiar and this plays the way it wants, and then like there's strategies going on. Because when you're fighting on Hyrule Temple, like if you're hanging out up top and stuff, you're doing like the classic Smash stuff, but then you go down into that lower section, and that's where the shit gets nasty.
Chaos happens.
That's where the chaos happens, and the bouncing and the feel, and like everybody has this experience with Smash where they're like, oh man, Hyrule Temple though, and we needed something like that here, and I just don't think there's any map that supplies that type of feeling.
No. Maybe they'll get better maps as they go forward, but
maybe if it continues with support and stuff. And even in the state of the game right now, I'm not opposed to revisiting this game. No,
like I said, we're hanging out.
Yes,
I have my Switch.
I enjoyed this game. I liked this game. I had fun playing this game. I would like to play it some more. There's already some. I love the way Michelangelo and Aang from Avatar feels.
I loved Leonardo and April.
Yeah, all of that was great. But it was just a matter of like, just the overall polish just wasn't quite there like it is with Smash. Granted, Smash has had 2 decades to figure out this polish.
Yeah, so I can't hold it against them too much.
And a much bigger budget.
Nintendo behind it.
Nintendo's behind it, and it's one of like their lead like things. Like I'm sure Smash Brothers Ultimate is an expensive ass game.
Yeah. But that game has made back its money. Definitely.
Exactly. But it was also worth its money. You know? The Spirit board alone is hours upon hours upon hours of content. So yeah, it's solid, not great, fun for a little bit, not necessarily worth the price tag, but not a bad experience.
Right.
Not like a thing where I'm like, man, fuck this game. It's always just like okay, this is fun. This is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, a little stiffer than I would like it to be. Like even when we switched over to Smash later in that night, like everything was so much faster. Everything was so much smoother, and like I had to like readjust to Smash because in All Stars Brawl it was very stiff and slower, and the animations took longer to play out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, we may have to hop back on it, given the chance. Well, we will hop back on it, given
Probably.
the chance. Yeah.
Yeah, more than likely. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I had a good time playing it. Connor, have you been playing anything else this week?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I've been playing Melty Blood. Still having fun with that. Won't bore you with the details of fighting game mechanics, as bad as I am at them right now. I played a lot more of Tales of Arise, so I got through a lot of that. I think I'm coming up on the end. There was a lot of
saying that for 4 weeks, Connor.
Yeah, I know. It's a lengthy game.
Fair.
I noticed a couple of good things and a couple of not so good things. So, for example, as I went on, I noticed the same looking enemies. They were minor alterations to their design, but they're clearly mainly copy and pasted with a couple of extra bits on them to make them look different and specific to the region. Thankfully, they don't act the same, so they do play differently for the most part. But sometimes I can just, I know this is a higher budget Tales game than have existed in the past, so I would have expected them to be a little bit more varied in the basic enemy designs, even though the boss designs are very good, and I think the bosses themselves are fun and challenging. I noticed leading into that, your computer allies won't get out of the way of certain attacks that they can easily just walk out of, and will rather just stay in that area of attack and try to dodge, or in one character's case, block the attack that's coming, and sometimes they wouldn't, and then they'd get downed or take a bunch of damage, and I'd have to spend CP or some kind of item to revive them or heal them or whatnot. So that would sometimes be a little bit aggravating, because even though it would facilitate you to take control of your cast members a lot more, and all of them pretty much still feel great to play and unique to play, sometimes it could make fights seem more difficult than they should be. There's a great fishing minigame.
Hey!
It's a really good one. And the view in this fishing game, and you'll agree with me on this, is great. It's actually one of the best visuals that a minigame could have.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm still playing it.
There you
Combat's still fun. It's still, not fresh, but I've been kept entertained by the combat and doing combos and chaining together astral arts and regular attacks. I've been enjoying it still. It's going to be out of all the I haven't played many games this year, so it's probably going to rank pretty high up. But I'll see where that ranking lands by the time I finish this game. The other thing that I've been playing, I only played it a little bit, was the Battlefield 2042 open beta that started
you've been
a couple days
playing
ago. I played a little bit of it, yeah.
Oh, is it just as much of a mess as it looks like?
It's not really a mess. It's entertaining.
Okay.
It's scratching the itch that I actually kind of started having come up out of nowhere, which was to play those big battles that go on and, deal with chaos and explosions and vehicles and whatnot. So it's scratching that itch to the point where I might buy it, depending entirely if I get a new processor for my PC. Because that's the one thing my PC is lacking to properly run this game. And for that reason, I wasn't able to play it on PC, so I had to switch over to PS4, which... the big issue with that is I have been red-pilled on mouse controls for shooters.
Yeah.
And going to shooting on a controller just doesn't work anymore. So gunplay, I wasn't able to get the most out of it that I would have expected on a PC.
It definitely took some readjusting when I was playing Deathloop.
Yeah, I bet. That being said, though, the guns seem fun. A mechanic that I love in this game is the ability to swap out your attachments at a moment's notice. Because... sometimes you'll have encounters with enemies that don't need a certain sight, or don't need need a certain type of magazine, maybe a high damage magazine, or maybe I want to attach a grenade launcher to my gun. I can do that on the fly very, very easily and efficiently. So I know that was one of the big things they were advertising. It works out very well. I haven't really noticed much in terms of the environmental effects that go on. I don't think this map might have a lot of them, but I'm afraid that when we get the full game, it's going to actually not have as much environmental destruction as the demos and the previews and the trailers had shown us before. If that doesn't really come in full force, I might not buy the game, because that really was one of the things that interested me a lot. Mobility is improved with things like the grappling hook, which some characters have. That makes it a lot more easier to get around the map, and Battlefield games can sometimes have the issue of you running a lot to objectives and to fight other enemies. I found that this game, from the way the map was laid out and those increased mobility options, allowed you to do that more efficiently than past Battlefield games. Don't know if that's a recent development or if, games since Battlefield 4 have done that, because that was the last experience I had with the Battlefield game. The final issue that I have with it is that when you're put into squads, I guess two issues. You have 4 different characters you can choose from. Now, you can decide whether they have, an ammo pack or a missile launcher or a heat-seeking missile launcher, what type of grenade they have. Obviously, you can change the guns and all that kind of stuff. But they each have their own special ability tied to them. So, for example, one of them has a automatic turret that he could set up. One of them has the grappling hook, which I would find that I wouldn't be able to get access to that character at certain points, so that mobility option wasn't open to me, and I would have things like a drone or a turret, and those just are less fun to use than a grappling hook. Grappling hooks really made that game more entertaining, so if I didn't get that character, I'd kind of be like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll play these other guys, I guess I'll do them. And, that can kind of slow down my enjoyment of the game, especially when I want to play it a certain way, and it's not giving me the absolute freedom to do so. Whether they'll change that in the base game and this is just a placeholder, I don't know. Wait until the game comes out. And final point that I would mention, some glitches, not game-breaking glitches. Going back to the weapon system, sometimes it wouldn't... I should specify.
Which is shocking, because I've seen some game-breaking glitches.
Yeah, I haven't experienced much.
I've seen a lot of nasty shit in the Battlefield 2042.
Thankfully, I have not. The main issue that I found was that my favorite site, which doubles as a ACOG site, as you probably be familiar with the Call of Duty days, and a red dot site you can change on the fly, sometimes just wouldn't work, so I'd be stuck in one or the other modes, and thankfully it made it better to be able to switch sites on a moment's notice, but, there's only one ACOG site, so without that lack of range, sometimes I was left, I wish I can activate that, but I'm stuck on this little red dot site. Easily fixable if they choose to do so. A lot of people have been playing this game. I've seen a lot of clips on Twitter and people I follow. They seem to be enjoying it just like I was.
Interesting. I'm on the negative side of Twitter then.
Yeah, maybe you are.
I've seen a lot of negativity towards this beta. So that's interesting that you're seeing the opposite.
I'll wait and see what the final game product looks like. There was another game that's similar to it, I think, called Hell Let Loose that I actually may jump on instead. Some kind of World War II big battlefield game. But, staying in the realm of 2042, it was. I had fun with the beta. Probably won't play it again tonight, even though it's. I think it's going offline at 10 o'clock tonight. But I'd be interested to see how the game develops these next, month and a half with the final
before
product.
Release. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've been playing Metroid Dread.
Yes,
I am 2 hours in about.
Oh, okay.
So I've for people who are playing it and know, I've unlocked the second that first so there's the first area you drop into, and then eventually you take a little tram system to a second area. And I've done that, and I've played around with that. And Metroid Dread, obviously Metroidvania experience. This is Metroid 5.
Is it only 5?
Yeah. Well, the Prime games don't count. Well, the Prime games are a different series, rather.
I see. Okay.
So this is Metroid 5. We haven't had a Metroid game in fucking I think it's 14 plus years. So it's been a minute. This is my first experience with a Metroid game. I've played other Metroidvanias. I played around with Hollow Knight for a little while. Dead Cells was Metroidvania-esque.
Wasn't that very roguelike too?
Yeah, it was a roguelite. But it was Metroidvania-esque. Returnal, Metroidvania-esque. The first Axiom Verge I sunk over 10, 12 hours in, and then got to the point where I got lost and couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go and stopped. And then a couple of others that I'm struggling to reach for, but I haven't had the most experience with this genre, but the experience I have had has been pretty positive. And this game's fun. This game is fun to play. The world, I think, is the atmosphere of the world, I think, is super solid. It's obviously continuing a story that I have it's continuing the story of the old games.
Oh, okay.
And I've just got very little context for any of this. They do their best to kind of give you a bit of a summary in the beginning, but it's just honestly, if you're coming to this for the story, a little weird. That's a weird choice. You should be coming for the gameplay and for the unlocking the map and exploring that map and let's say the gameplay and the atmosphere. So I've unlocked a few small abilities, mostly just traversal and then a charge shot to do some extra damage and stuff. And the game starts you off with your normal little blaster that does minimal damage, but you also have a rocket launcher that comes in limited ammo, that you get pickups for when enemies die or when you get critical hits. And then there's a melee attack. But the melee doesn't really do damage. The melee is really more used to parry things. But if you do a running melee attack, that does do damage.
Okay.
And then from the parry, you just hit the fire button real quick, and then Samus does a cool little animation and just blows the enemy away. In which you get a bunch of extra health and a bunch of extra ammo and stuff. So you're incentivized to do the parry, counterattack, critical hit thing. I've fought a couple of bosses, all of which I've enjoyed immensely. The main one I fought, which is the first real boss that you fight, is this thing that has a scorpion tail almost.
Oh, I've seen them all over the place.
Oh, dude, that fight was great. I had so much fun fighting that thing. And what really impresses me about this, it's a 2.5D game. And what really impresses me is the presentation of this game. When they choose to break the camera and bring it in and do cool cinematic things and make Samus really look like a badass, it's almost always perfect. Mm-hmm. And it's almost always enjoyable, to just see these cool animations and when she enters save rooms and stuff and she's just standing there like she's just doing hero poses and fucking just looking like a badass all goddamn day. And then all of her animations are so beautifully done and she just looks cool the entire way through. And that makes you feel cool when, for example, to get the killing blow on that boss I described, they break the camera and they bring the camera in and you're fucking you're just shooting rockets into its face, just a big fuck you, I'm beating your ass, type shit. And it feels so cool to play through that. And it's still interactive when it's doing that. You're actually pressing the fire button. The animations are canned, but you're firing and you're doing the damage, so it feels like you're putting an input.
I have seen that one going around Twitter, the tail end of that fight.
Oh, it's badass, isn't it? It's so cool.
It was cool.
And the way she just, she kind of, like she takes a hit and then like shrugs it off and like starts like kind of like hopping in place almost like a boxer and stuff, and you see her cannon charging up, and she's like charging her Omega Blast or whatever they call it, and I'm like, man, she's fucking cool.
Samus has always been a cool character.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Hasn't gotten enough exposure.
I'll say this game, not the easiest game in the world.
It seems very hard.
It's quite difficult at times. Specifically, so far in my experience, anytime you have to go into an environmentally dangerous room, like the room is too cold or the room is too hot, you die quick. Like, you die really quick. And sometimes you have to, like, actually, like, brute force your way through those sections. And it's just like, you gotta be on point. You gotta have all your platforming down. You gotta fucking nail these jumps. Because it's just not forgiving.
Is it the area kills you itself? Not like
the area itself will kill you. And then also the dread part of this game. It takes place with what they call EMMIs, EMMIs, and it's an acronym for something. I don't remember what the acronym is for. But these are those robotic enemies that the marketing was kind of centered around, that are hunting Samus down and are your they're like the Mr. X like type variety type enemies of this game, where there's very clear sections of like, okay, if I enter this section, I know there's going to be an Emmy in here. So, and then you enter it, and then like at first the Emmy is just kind of hunting you. It can hear you. You're very loud. You're just running around full speed at all times. So it hears everything you're doing, and it's tracking you through audio cues. And then when it finds you, it just fucking like it just guns straight towards you, and it tries to like knock you down. And there's a quick it comes in for a melee kill, and it's a one-hit kill. Mm-hmm. There's a small little quick opportunity in which you can counter its attack and get away. That window is very small, and I have failed it many times. And it's hard for me to figure out what this timing is, and it feels like if I stay in an area for too long, it changes the timing. Like it feels that way. Like it's like sometimes the attack comes in a little sooner, sometimes it comes in a little later, and you only get one shot at countering this thing. If you hit it too early, you're fucked. You hit it too late, you're fucked.
One thing I'm curious about, like I guess from a story perspective or in-games perspective, how are you not like? Is there a reason it gives for why Samus isn't kicking these robots' ass? Because it's Samus.
It's something they got like super armor or something. Nearly impenetrable or whatever. They're invincible. Basically. Okay. But there are moments in which Samus becomes super powered, in which you are clearly like designed to. Okay, now I've become overcharged. Let me go back to that area and go kill that Emmy.
Okay.
And it's just the one Emmy in that area, and it doesn't come back when you eventually kill it. So like. And there's even like a number. I think there's like 8 Emmys in the entire game or something like that.
Oh, okay.
In the tutorial, they teach you how to kill one, and then you'll play around with another one, and then it'll let you kill another one, and so forth. So like this is kind of like the flow that the game is establishing. So eventually, I am clearing out all of these rooms and stuff, and I am killing these Emmys. And when I say clearing out the rooms, like obviously, like if it's just normal mobs, normal monsters, you leave that area, you come back, they're going to be back.
Yeah,
that's Metroid. That's Metroidvania to a T. But yeah, so far, very much enjoying it. It makes it like when the badass moments happen, I feel like a badass. The levels are pretty well designed. The map is pretty well designed. And I do enjoy exploring it. One thing that bothers me is it's no longer like the grid-based thing that like a bunch of Metroidvanias do, where like as soon as you enter the room, it just shows you the room. They now do it kind of like Axiom Verge, where like it's sort of like a fog of war element on the map, which worked for Axiom Verge. Not working here.
Because
there are areas of the map where it's like Samus can't get there, so the map isn't getting 100% cleared. So now when I do get lost, inevitably I am looking at the map and going, okay, is that an area that I can't get to, or have I just not explored that little corner of that room?
So you may double back and just for nothing because you can't.
Yeah, you'll double back and be like, oh fuck, I can't go anywhere in here. And then there's just a lot of moments, and I think this is just because I don't have many abilities. There's a lot of like traversal things where I'm like, fuck, this room is incapable of like, I can't navigate this room the way I thought I could. So now I gotta like figure out another way around, or I've gotta like go somewhere else entirely and figure out how to circle back in some way. But that's just kind of Metroidvanias of like just looking at the map and figuring it out. And I'll say one of my bigger critiques, I don't like how the map looks. Like when you pull up the actual map screen. It feels like there's too much information on screen, and not all of it is necessary at once. Could have been, And it's fairly simple, like, design, but there's just too much iconography going on, too much text going on. It's just like, yeah, we could have pared a lot of this down and made it a lot more simple. And I think cutting this fog of war element would have helped a lot. Because then it would have been like, okay, there is this room. Clearly there's a door there that I haven't entered. Let me go over there and enter this door now that I have this ability, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah. When the Emmys are hunting you, it's thrilling. It's you gotta haul ass to get the fuck out of there. And then when the boss fights happen, they're dope. Samus looks dope across the board. This is a really solid game. This is a super, super solid game. I'm enjoying playing it more in handheld mode than on TV. I played it for about 40 minutes on TV, and then I did like another hour and a half in handheld mode, and I had a better time playing in handheld mode. However, my Joy-Cons have some drift problems going on.
Okay.
So that's making things a little difficult to like aim and shoot and stuff. But, this game was clearly meant to be played portably. But yeah, this is great. Pick up, play, put down, just a joy. Just a joy. I will say whenever like dialogue happens, it happens through this like computer system that is like giving you updates of the station and stuff, and every time this thing talks, I tune out and I'm like, I just don't care. Like, I just can't care. I can't bring myself to care. But yeah, it's a fun game. I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm having a good ass time playing this game. Everything I was hoping for.
How long do you think the game is? 15 hours?
Probably somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine. And I don't know if I'll beat it. Usually with Metroidvanias, I get to a point where I'm like, I'm lost. I don't know where the fuck to go. And then I'm like, all right, I'm moving on.
Yeah, that's my issue with Metroidvanias as well. And also, they seem to be time sinks for me because you're constantly doing things over and over again because you die all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll say the checkpoints have been pretty good.
They've
been pretty good. It's not like you're going back to a save room. It usually, like, if you die to an Emmy, you get teleported to outside the area where the Emmy is, which is solid enough. My biggest issue with checkpoints right now is, say if you hit a checkpoint and then you enter an area and then a cutscene is triggered in that area, you have to watch that cutscene every time. Now you can skip the cutscene, which is great, but it's annoying that I have to skip it every time. And then, for example, like the boss fight that I was praising earlier, the door to that boss fight had like a thing you had to kill.
Oh, that's kind of annoying.
Every time the boss killed me, I had to re-kill that thing and then enter the room and then re-watch the cutscene. And I'm like, fucking Christ, like, let's just, come on, I've already killed the thing, I've already entered the door, I've seen the cutscene, just start the fight. Start the fight.
Is it an enemy that can be kind of difficult to deal with at times?
It was like a weird timing thing, but it does do damage to you or whatever, but it was a simple, like, there's another enemy, like, just to your left, just, kill the door thing, kill the other thing, get your health back, get your ammo back, and then enter the area. And you could counter the door thing, the door enemy thing, to, like, get an insta-kill and stuff, but I only managed to do that once, because, one, I didn't realize you could counter it right away, and, two, I couldn't care to find the timing because it was pretty easy to kill without countering it anyways. But it was just annoying that I had to do it every time, and I had to, the game is kind of tough. I had to do that fight 4, 5, 6 times, before I nailed it and figured it out. So, but yeah, Metroid Dread, solid game, highly, highly recommend. Full $60. I mean, maybe a little steep, but I think it's worth it for just how good the presentation of the game is. And, like, even in the backgrounds, like, things are moving in the backgrounds and stuff to, like, create atmosphere and sort of this, no pun intended, this dread as you explore this alien planet and so forth. So, yeah, I'm excited to see, in this new environment I'm in, is cool. I mean, it's still, like, a lot of, like, laboratory, like, gray and science walls and so forth, but you do enter areas of like caverns and it's a heavy lava based area that I'm in right now, so there's a lot of like lava fields and stuff that I'm having to navigate and work around and figure out ways around and through and stuff, and it's just a solid time, this Metroid Dread, and I'm really, really enjoying it. Definitely one of my favorite games of the year.
Good. See where it ranks.
It won't take my game of the year spot. That's still a shot between Deathloop and Returnal for me, but it's up there pretty high. Mm-hmm. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that has been your episode of the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 64. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to watch us play video games live, you can do that at twitch.tv/2pennygames. in which this week Phil is going to be playing some Resident Evil 2 remake. It's going to be a good time. He's not very good with horror games, so he's going to be a little baby boy, little bitch baby boy.
That'll be fun to see.
It will indeed. So please come join us for that. Twitch.tv/2pennygames, Tuesday, 1 p.m. It's going to be a good time. Remember, you can find us on all the main podcast services: Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, YouTube.com/2pennygamescast. Hit a subscribe, hit a follow, share it with a friend. We really do appreciate it. And until next week, have a great week. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.